So
Awesome.
I just want to congratulate Happy New Year first of all,
Yeah, same to you.
man. Yeah. So how has it been? How are you celebrating your New Year? Can you like share?
Yeah, yes, just with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a Latino background, you can imagine we like to get together and like,
Yeah.
just have
Yeah.
fun the whole night. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was really good.
Yeah. Um.
Uh-huh.
Well, me too. Like I just had family. I'm an Asian background, but I live in Slovakia. I don't know
Yeah.
where you live.
Oh, nice. In Phoenix, Arizona.
It's like
Phoenix,
U.S.
Arizona.
Oh,
Yeah, US.
Arizona.
Yeah,
I know Arizona.
yeah,
Like I've heard
yeah.
about it a lot. So
Yeah.
yeah, so in Arizona, okay. Yeah, so I live in Slovakia, but like I am Vietnamese background. So actually, this month, like 14, after like 7 years, I'm going back to Vietnam to visit my grandparents. Yeah, it's been a long time, so I have to pay and visit because
Nice.
it's gonna be yeah, they are like wondering, like, yeah, you should come back because we're gonna be bad, so I have to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
I see.
yeah, so that's how it is. But um, yeah,
Cool,
so
man.
yeah, but Christmas is about going fine. I got like few members coming, like saying like family stuff, like spending time with family. So yeah, it's been fine too. So
That's cool.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean like I've seen your videos, bro. It's been like quite a long time. You haven't been posting. Like I'm just wondering like how's things been going? Like can you share like how's your life been going?
Uh, yeah, so one of the reasons why I stopped posting is because life changed, right?
Yeah,
I have a family, and I have a full-time job, and now my main focus is to be a good dad, right? A better husband. So all of my energy goes more towards my family, and I do work on the engine, but
yeah,
I don't have enough time to work on the engine anymore.
yeah. I
Before I
believe.
got married, before I got married and had a family, I would work on the engine like 4 hours a day,
Yeah,
and that's why I was able to do videos, right?
yeah,
But now, that focus changed, and now it's more family and work. And whenever the kids goes to sleep, that's when I can actually do some work. I
yeah,
still work on the engine every day, but that time has gone from like 4 hours to
yeah,
literally 20 to 30 minutes.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I've been, thinking of doing videos again. That has been, that's something I want to do again. But I need to find the time,
yeah,
like to do it. So
yeah.
yeah, so it's not like I don't want to do it anymore. It's like, man, I just priorities,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, priorities. You're a family man. I believe you. Like even right now, like I have to spend a lot of time with my girlfriend. Like we have to like calling every day, like few 2 3 hours because like I'm like all working. Like I wake up, I start to work. Like I recently, not recently, like 8 or 9 months ago, I got a job. So it's all like rescheduling my whole life. So it's like you know,
Mhm.
it's different. So and then like I got a girlfriend now, and I have to like 2 3 hours, texting her and calling, so I can spend time with her, like it's like the
Exactly.
least amount of time, I can, at least spend. So yeah, it's been. I know what you mean. Like you're a family man. I believe that you even have to do a lot more things than me. So, like, do you have kids?
Yeah, I have
Oh,
kids. I
really?
have two.
You already have
Yeah,
two? Okay.
so yeah,
Like, how
yeah.
old are they?
So
Like, are they like young, really young?
uh, toddlers. Yeah, they're toddlers.
They are toddlers. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can imagine, right? Like, they want to play with me. They want to do so many things with me, and
Yeah.
I, like I want to be there, right? I want to be a good dad, right? And also a good husband, right? Help
Exactly.
my wife, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah. So I mean, to be honest with you, by the time they go to sleep, like around 11, I'm dead, right? But
Yeah.
but yet I still find time to put something into the engine and you know do whatever I can, and then I just then I knock out, and then I'm done,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
having a children at such, when especially when they're toddlers, I believe that it's a lot of work. Like you have to be a father, like you have to spend time too. So like you have to rearrange a lot of things. So yeah, I don't know when
Yeah.
you will get time. I'm not expert on that, but yeah, I hope you will get a lot more free time and give us a lot more, stuff to see because I love your stuff.
Y- Yeah, I actually, to be honest with you, that's one of my, goals this year to actually start doing videos. So I just need to, find the time, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
once I find it, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
you mentioned that you got a job. Like, can you tell me more, like specifically, like what the job is about? Like, what is it like, or like how much time does it take you, or like what is it
yeah,
like? You know?
yeah. So basically, because of, so I've been working as an engineer for a long time, right? Um, but I was working more as a firmware engineer, right? So I was still doing graphics, but not like the kind of graphics that I wanted to do, right?
Wait,
I
what
was
do you
doing
mean,
more
like former
graphics.
engineer? Like engineer about like graphics engineer, or what like
No,
software in
no,
general?
no. So firmware engineer is more like microcontroller engineer for microcontrollers. So
Microcontrollers.
you,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
yes, yes. So we were writing firmware for that. But I was more on that support side, right? So I was more of doing the graphic support, right? Um, on that end, right? And obviously, with microcontrollers, you don't have a GPU, you don't have, you know, hardcore APIs, right?
Yes.
And I have always been interested in that, and that's why I started teaching myself about
Yeah.
back then about OpenGL and graphics and
Yeah.
all that. And because of the of my engine, right, and videos that I have on YouTube, people have found me, and you know, um, one of those companies offered me a job, right?
Yeah.
So I started working for them, and I cannot go into specifics what I do in my job because that's NDA, but what I can tell you is that I work as a senior rendering engineer
All right.
in a company. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how has it been? Well, it's been a lot of work.
Really.
It's been exciting, really exciting because you get to do some really amazing, cool stuff. It has been a lot of. I have learned a lot. Even more than I expected.
What do you mean?
And
What can you repeat?
so I have also learned a lot in that, in this job, right?
Yeah.
I have learned a lot.
Yeah.
It requires a lot of research, right? And it's been exciting, and
Yeah.
honestly, it has
So
been a
when
lot
you
of work
started,
too.
like you know that you had to do a lot of research. You mean like when you started, like it was a kind of a lot of things. So did you like did you like did they tell you like what to do, or like do you have to research something before like you can start, like, or how is it, like were
Oh,
you like missing
no,
some information that you didn't have back then?
no, it was more like, okay, we need you to build this type of renderer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, and with these specifications, right? So that's when you start like thinking, like researching, planning. Okay,
Yeah.
how would this work, right?
Yeah.
How would I develop this renderer? So, and that's when it comes in. That's when the whole research comes into play because you start implementing something that you think it may work, and then it doesn't work as you expected. So you have to, scratch that and like, okay, let me do it again differently. So it's this whole process of continuously learning and failing until you get it working,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, the job has been amazing. It has been a lot of work to be honest with you, but very very happy that you know
Yeah. Yeah. That's I
that
believe
that I
you.
worked there. Yeah.
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 I mean, I actually, like when I started, like I didn't know what to do. I went to school, like to the university, and honestly, in like IT related jobs, I realized that I really don't need education at all. Like like going to school and stuff. Like like iOS development, like that's how I got into it, right? I just did some courses that I found online, like mm, the
Mm-hmm.
website that you made, like. something like that. I did some research, I did some tutorials, I done things myself, and none of that like had something related to my school that I was going to. Yeah, so I was like in my dorm, searching for like jobs like randomly because I was bored, right? So I found a like an
Mhm.
I was position like a junior, and I just applied, and just like on 2 3 days they gave me like an interview, you know, and they gave me the end. No, they first they gave me an assignment, so I had to
Mhm.
do it. And when I applied that assignment, like you know, the result, like it was fine. So they gave me an interview. It was fine too. And like in 3 days, they gave me a call, and then like yeah, we can give you a chance. Like you can come and sign a contract, and I just came and I just went there, signed a contract, and got a job. Like it had nothing to do school with school, and it was like damn, like my whole life was like life, like lie, like I shouldn't have gone to school. Like I could just like do the course, and I got a job. Like what the hell? Like what? You know, so
Yeah,
yeah, it was like
that's awesome.
4 days. In 4 days, I got a job. Like it was like transforming. Like I didn't have to go to school anymore suddenly. You know, I stayed home. I did iOS development. You know, and
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, it's like did you go to school?
Yeah, yeah, I did go to school. So I have a degree in engineering.
Yeah,
Yeah, and on that note, right? Like, I do agree with you completely in a sense that schools many times they just waste our time by giving us courses that we are not going to need, right? But over the course of the years, I kind of have understood why they do that, right? And this is
really?
my personal opinion. Yeah,
Okay,
this is my
all right,
opinion,
all right.
right? It's like I feel that all of those years that we did, engineering courses, what they were doing us was just training our brains to think in a certain way, right? Training our brains to think analytically, right?
Yeah,
So there were like all of those homeworks that we had to do, right? All of
yeah,
differential equations that we had to solve
exactly.
that we most likely don't use now.
I
They
still
were
don't use
just
it.
training. Yeah, exactly. Like we they were just training our brains to think analytically,
Yeah,
right? Because right now when you are facing a technical problem like a bug, right? You're using all of those muscles, all of that training, right?
yeah,
And then applying it into solving the problem, right?
yeah,
That's my personal take, right?
yeah,
Because again, it's like going to the gym, right? Once you have the muscles, you can lift anything. Well, not anything, but you're most likely to lift something heavier every time,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah, so that's how I see things.
yeah, yeah. I
It just
complete.
helps you.
Yeah,
It
I
helps you,
agree with
right?
you. I agree with you. Yeah, it makes sense. Like I always all wonder like why they giving us such a things that we mostly don't never use. But then like it's kind of like training us to like think like pretty hard. Like then, but then like
Yeah,
in yeah, but then I realized like yeah, you actually could apply it, but it's just not now, but like in the future. Yeah, it's just
yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's just I don't know. I wish that they could have you know gave us a more being more transparent, like why it is, like why because when you're not knowing what you're doing and it's really demotivating because you know like
Yeah,
usually you know what you're doing what you don't know why you're doing and you know when you have a goal you know like you walking towards that goal it gives you motivation right but in that sense they don't give us any kind of motivation to you know work towards the goal like why I'm doing this like
yeah.
I'm gonna get something out of it or not you know so yeah so
Yeah,
I
yeah, like I
wish
mean,
it
like
was
they just tell you do this, but they don't tell
yeah
you the why you're doing it,
yeah
right?
exactly yeah
Um,
exactly
mm, yeah.
yeah so
I also feel, this is also me, right? This is just me. I'm not saying anything else, but
yeah
I also feel that school or college killed my, can I say this? So when I was a kid, I wanted to be an engineer since I was like 5.
uh-huh
I knew I was going to go into science and engineering. But when I got into school, into college, that whole thing of, you have a midterm today, you have a paper due tomorrow, you have something else due the next day. That killed my desire to experiment because as an engineer, I wanted to get in, do experiments, learn through trial and error, right? Research, understand. I wanted to build stuff, and and if it didn't fail, I wanted to enough time to I redo it again and do it better. But college was so rushed, right? You had to
Exactly.
do a project, you had to do it today. It's
Exactly.
over. Like, who
Yeah.
cares? Do it because you have a midterm tomorrow and you have to study for that. And then you have a paper due, a 20-page paper due in English class. I'm like, why am I doing this, right? Like, why am I taking, I don't know, sociology? I want to be an engineer. So everything was so rushed that
Yeah,
it didn't give
exactly.
me that time to, number one, digest what I was learning, and number two, play around with what I was learning. Because
Yeah.
when you play with what you're learning, that's when you really, grasp the concept.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is something that I just had, I didn't like about college.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you, it was the same for me. I mean, it was, well, it was terrible. Like it was during COVID too. I don't know. Yeah, you probably remember. Yeah, during COVID, doing school is just so unproductive. Like everybody is just going to the Zoom call and go back to sleep. So that was like pretty much the whole story of my college days. I actually dropped out like in a year, So I went to
Okay.
like the different school, which like was like a work environment. It was like a little bit better, but I still doing iOS development like in the background, because I knew like it was my passion, so I did it in the background. And
Okay.
it was like a backup plan going to school because it was like granting you a job after you finishing it. So
Mhm.
I was doing it two things at the same time. Like if any one of those like succeed, I will go into it. And in the end, the iOS development like gave me a chance. So I dropped out of school
Right.
too. Like I went full time iOS development. But now I got interested in graphics too. Because
Nice.
that's what I got into. So it's what I'm spending my time with. And
That's cool.
yeah, yeah. It's a long story. I don't know if I can, tell you about it. I don't think it's needed, but it's
Yeah.
basically a really short story of how like I got into like iOS development. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I don't know. You told me like you had interest in graphics. Like why did it spark? Like how did you got into like because you told me like you were an engineer, but how do you got interested in graphics? Like what made you interested in graphics in the first place?
So it's kind of also a story with different pieces all over my life, right? But one of the things that when I used to live in Ecuador, there were the oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the machine. Like the console machine, right? I don't know if you remember the big ones, right?
The console
Um,
machine.
oh,
Which
oh
one
my
you
gosh,
mean?
I don't.
Oh, you
The
mean not the
like
arcade?
the
You don't think
Pac-Man, the arcade. There you
the
go.
arcade,
Yeah,
is that right?
two.
The
You're
arcade.
right. Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah.
arcade game. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So they had an arcade game in one of the stores near my house, and
Yes.
I will always see people there playing it. One day I got to play with it, right? And I don't know, just the fact of you moving like the paddle, you see things moving. I was like, how does that happen? Like that curiosity was there
Yeah.
in me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then one of my cousins, they had an Atari, and when I would go there, I I would play it, and I was like, how? Like how me moving this, the joystick talk to the TV, like so that interest was there in me. Like I was like, would go home like and
How
just
old? How old?
wonder,
How
right?
old? How old were you?
Oh my God, I cannot tell you the exact range of my exact age. I don't know how to remember obviously, but
Yeah.
less than 8 years old for sure.
Oh, okay. 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 That
Yeah,
that
yeah,
gives
I
me
was
an
like,
idea. Like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So and I guess my whole behind, in my mind, like in unconsciously, I have always been fascinated by graphics, by how things on the screen look or they move, especially with games.
Yes.
So, but it was like just there, it was there, it was like dormant, right? It was like sleeping, right?
Yeah, sleeping in the
Right?
back of my mind, but you
What,
were still
what,
doing what you were has had to do. But it was still in your
yeah,
mind, comes subconsciously. Like yeah, it was there. But then when you
yeah,
grow
yeah,
up, like you saw opportunities and oh yo yeah, I actually want to get into it. Now I'm touching that subconscious mind, right? And
yeah,
doing some
yeah.
actions.
Yeah, so that was there. It was there.
Yeah,
And also when I started working as an engineer, I started working as a firmware engineer, as a technical support, right, engineer. And the company had at that moment uh, released their first graphics API. Again, the graphics was very simple, no GPUs, no nothing, like completely simple
CPU.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean like no GPU, no graphics processing unit,
yeah.
because we
I
were
told
working.
like yeah, I said like CPU
Yeah,
wise, right? Like it was
yeah,
only
exactly. Yeah,
using CPU, right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So nothing exciting. So I started helping them out. What that was my job. Do the support stuff like that. And what happened? I don't know what happened, to be honest with you, but I went through a really, like, I guess I was feeling lost in my life at that moment, right? With so many different things, right? Um, and one day, I guess I was so tired of feeling lost, right? I was so tired of being the type of person that I would start something like a project but
yeah,
never finish it,
yeah,
right?
yeah. You were that kind of
Um,
person, right?
uh,
You were that kind of
so
person, right?
yeah, yeah. So
Exactly.
like I would like start something, and
Yeah,
then something else would take my curiosity, and then I would jump onto something else,
exactly.
and
I know what you mean.
I,
I know.
I was tired of that, and I just wanted to change my life, honestly, completely. And then, can I even know? I don't even know how this happened, to be honest with you. But one day I woke up, uh, and I just something in my mind told me build
Yeah,
a game engine,
yeah,
and that was it. It's funny though, because I didn't even know what a game engine was. I just like told me like build this, like build this, build a game engine, and do it. And
yeah,
then I started, I guess I tap on my unconscious mind, like you said, right?
yeah,
Figure out how the video games, how a video game works,
yes,
and go do it.
yeah,
And that was it. And at that point on, I decided to focus. I decided to I'm gonna stick to this project, and I'm gonna see it
done.
until it's completed. And I'm not going to, yes, I'm going to focus. And that was it. And yeah,
Yeah,
still
yeah,
working on it. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, so that's how I got into graphics. It was not, you know, it was like different pieces of my life that
yeah,
were there. And one day, I guess, it just, you know,
yeah. You
decided to
know,
do it. Mhm.
I actually also had like graphics in back of my mind, like back then because I was like a PC gamer, so I always like, how the hell did they make such a beautiful game, like so realistic and stuff. But when then I, started like taking a look at it, and then I realized the deeper I go, the more I realize how freaking hard and how my mind was like overblown for each time everything I knew or learned because like it was a lot of math, right? First of all, and I didn't have a lot of like programming experience at all. Like I barely like knew, it's mostly math. Like it was so complicated that my mind couldn't like comprehend. So I always like when I tried to go deep into it, I always like step back because I didn't want because it's so intimidating, just looking at those codes, looking at those math, and I
Yeah.
was damn shit. Like I really want to do it, but when I look at it, I just get I just got afraid, I
Right.
don't know if I could do that because when I'm actually trying to dedicate my whole life, my whole life to it, because if you actually try to dedicate the whole life, your resources to it, but then in the end, if you find out like, what if I'm not good enough? What if like I was not built for this? Like all those times is gonna go away. So I was like always like, should I go into it or not? But then after a
Yeah.
while, if I got a job, right, as a little bit, the programming skills got better, the math, like a lot, like got easier, like you got used to it, you look like a lot of the code, and then you start
Mhm.
realize, yeah, like most people don't even know what those equations mean. They just like copy and paste that shit in, and it just
Yeah.
works. It's all about like composing codes and put it in, and the stuff just works. They don't have to look in deep into like why it works, like how that math works. But and then I realized, oh,
Yeah.
okay, it actually not that deep. It's just, yeah. And then I got like more confident each time. I got more skills. So yeah, it got a lot easier back right now. Like when I
That's good.
take a look at the GPU stuff, like the metal APIs, like it actually
Mhm.
makes sense now. And
That's cool.
yeah,
That's good.
that's why um I I I I got interested. The more I got interested, the more I understand it, I got more
Mhm.
interested in it. Yeah, you know
Right.
what I mean?
That's yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, so I'm wondering, like, there's a lot of like these graphics APIs, but why did you choose Metal?
Okay, metal. Okay, so I started developing the engine, right, with that intent of with an educational intent, right? So at that moment, you know, I, what I had in front of me was a Mac, right? And when I started, there was no Metal API. It was only OpenGL. So I was using my Mac and OpenGL. So that's how I started developing like my engine, right? But then I attended a conference where they announced the release of Metal, right? So I kind
Wait,
of knew.
you mean the WWDC?
No, that was the sig. No, I think I heard it on
Yeah,
WWDC.
because
Yeah,
that's where
I,
they announced
yeah,
the
that's
Metal.
yeah, yeah. That's where I am. Yeah, yeah, yes, that is correct, right? So at that moment, I realized that probably they are going to deprecate OpenGL in the future, right? So it may make sense for me to start porting my engine to Metal, right? And that's what I did. So
Yeah,
that was the shift to Metal.
yeah,
It was nothing more of me just thinking ahead. You know,
yeah, yeah,
OpenGL is going to be deprecated
yeah,
in
yeah. And
app.
also the fact that you had a Mac, right? So you couldn't like run DirectX or anything, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Right. So that's why it was more of the situation that I was in at that moment. Right. I
yeah.
have been an Apple user since like 1999.
Can you tell
So
like why did you use Apple? Because I know like Apple, like the graphics, like they don't really rhyme well, in the graphics world. You know
no.
that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Good. I know that. Yeah. I know that. So like, so you want to know how I got into
Yeah,
why
yeah,
I
yeah,
became.
yeah. Let's get it.
Okay,
Let's
so
get into it.
yes, so it's a funny story though because I was in college, right, and I was doing an internship, um, and uh, the professor that I was assigned to, right, he gave he assigned me this old dusty computer, right, and I was very upset, right, because my other classmates that were in the internship they got Windows computers, right? And we're talking 1999, right?
Yeah, yeah.
1998, 1999. And I was very upset why he gave me this old plastic computer, which happened to be a Mac. I do not know which version of the Mac it was. Okay, I just do not know.
So he
But I was,
gave you the Mac that is dusty, and the other student got like a pretty good PC or what?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so like so I do not know why that happened. I do not know if just because he didn't have any more computers and he needed me to do some work. Like, oh, use that one. It works,
Yeah.
right?
But you didn't
Right?
ask, right? You didn't ask why did I got this?
No,
No. Okay.
no,
Okay.
no, 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 no. No, I mean, like, I think it was just a matter of a situation. Like, hey, these are the only computers that I have right now, right? I don't know if I showed up late to to his
Sure.
office that day. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what happened. What happened was I was assigned to that, and I was really upset at that moment. So I went, and started. I cleaned it up, got everything ready, and then I turned it on. And, it was a Mac, okay, and I turned it on and started playing with it. I got hooked. I got hooked with that computer. By
You
the
got
end of
hooked.
that
You
day,
got hooked.
yeah, by the end of that day, I was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. And I kept using it. And obviously, I asked these other guys that worked there for some help to, hey, so how do you do this? How do you do that? Right? Um, and oh my gosh, at the end of that day, I was so happy I got that computer because I was so hooked with the user interface, how it felt, how it worked.
Yeah. But I
Um,
mean, the other computers were they had the same user interface too, right? Probably a little bit different, but they had the user interface, right?
yeah, 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 but they were Windows. I had a Mac, right?
Yeah.
I older, right?
Wait, but
But
the Mac was older, or the PCs that the other students were using were older? Which one was older?
the Mac was older.
The Mac was even older. Okay,
Yeah, the
okay.
Mac was way older. Yeah,
Oh,
the Mac
way
was
older.
way older. The Windows,
Okay,
yeah, the Windows were newer. But there
okay.
was something. It was something about that Mac that just got me hooked because I can tell you that a couple of hours before I was a Windows user, right?
Okay, okay.
And I got hooked. I loved it. And ever since then, this the stipend that I got from the from my from the whole summer,
Yeah,
right? From the internship, I went out and got myself a Mac with OX9, I think it was.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, and I was hooked. I've been
Okay,
hooked ever since then. Yeah,
okay,
and
okay.
now I have only bought Mac
Only
computers ever
Macs,
since.
only Macs.
Only Mac.
Damn.
Yeah,
Like you
only
never
Mac.
even wavered, like to even think like, okay, you know what? Most of people like using PC. Maybe I should switch. Like, has that ever happened to your lifetime ever?
It has, but then I come to my senses and it's like, nah, sticking to a Mac.
Oh my God. Like why did you get so hooked with that Mac? Like what made it so special?
I don't know how it felt when you were using it, right? I the user interface was like kind of like was like I don't know, it just so felt good.
Felt good.
So this is what I wish I would know. I
Yeah.
wish I would have taken a picture of that Mac, so or at least write down the which type of Mac I was using,
Do you still
right?
have it?
Oh, no, 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 no. That's like I'm sure it's in the garbage somewhere. I'm sure like the
Oh,
university.
oh
Yeah,
God.
but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I got hooked. I just the more I worked with it, the more interested I became in knowing how to use it and how to get
Hmm.
everything from it. I
Oh,
just feel so good. I don't know.
you don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah. I just go
you
ahead.
did mention that you used PC before, so
Oh
you
yeah,
have familiarity with PC, but somehow, but when you switch to Mac, you suddenly like, yeah, I don't need PC anymore.
yeah, yeah. So obviously at work when previous jobs I had to use a Windows, but at my home my personal computer has been a Mac,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Before before this episode happened, right? With the Mac, I had a Windows at home,
Yeah,
right? But yeah, after that, very thankful that the professor assigned me that computer, man,
yeah,
because I loved
yeah.
it. Like I really loved it.
Oh
Yeah,
my God, that's
yeah,
really
yeah.
interesting.
So yeah, I guess he
Um,
knew that, I guess he told me like, hey, it's a Mac, you're gonna love it. Like,
yeah. Well,
yeah. So.
I actually wish somebody gave me a Mac back when people were using PC. Well, but I got into Mac world quite late, really late. I mean, I used especially not in US because Mac mostly happens in US, right? Like there's the highest chance you actually can interact with Mac back in the especially 19 something. So I got so back in school, right here in Slovakia, was still everybody's PC, phones, only Android exists. Like, okay,
Mm,
mostly people only Android, right? So, and I back then, I always like was that kind of guy, was like using common logic, like every time when I go shopping something electronics with my dad, right? We always like look at specs, right? And we are all like you mad
yeah,
asses. Like we look at the
yeah,
specs.
yeah.
Yeah, we see the three is bigger than one, man. Like three is bigger. Three gigabytes, dad. Look at this 3 gigabytes.
Yeah,
This has more gigabytes, and we are
right.
looking at those things, and we are oh yeah, for $300, like this thing has more gigabytes than this one. Why the hell should we choose these, right? Like, we are all thought like we all thought like we are smart asses like when it comes to tech and
Yeah.
stuff. But then like how dumb was I like back then when I was using like everybody when I saw my friends or any family relatives like using iPhone or anything Apple related, I thought like they were so why are they doing this? Like why are they so stupid or something? I was like
Yeah.
dissing them in every way possible, right? Yeah. So, but it got me interested back in the end. Like I told myself, you know what? I'm gonna try it. Like, see what it's about. Like, I bought an iPhone, like in like
Hmm.
I don't know, like 4 years ago, and
Okay.
it was like iPhone 6s. Like, oh my god! And I was hooked. I was hooked. So I ever since then, like I only like used bought iPhones, like Apple products. Like then I got into Mac, right? And
Okay.
yeah, and yeah, I was hooked too. Like I realized like how dumb I was. Like why the hell? Like it was not. I realized like it was not about the numbers game. Like it was more into it. Like so I got even more interested into like tech how tech worked. Like how
Okay.
technology worked. Like it's not just numbers. Like there's more things
Hmm.
into it, right? So I when I don't know if you know or when Apple transitioned to like Apple Silicon, right? Like they have
Yeah.
their own processors now.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's when I also got interested in metal, because
Okay.
yeah, because I thought like it had a potential, like because
Yeah.
for me I was thinking like yeah it's always like yeah I'm gonna be an early bird in this like I'm gonna invest all my time into learning. I'm gonna bet like this is gonna succeed like
Yeah.
the metal because it had Apple ecosystem like a lot of people used it so why should I not go into it,
Hmm.
it had software, it had hardware, and it worked great. So that's why I got into metal, and I also love video games. So yeah, and then that's how I got into metal, man.
That's
Like
cool.
what kind of experience? How do you compare? Like, what kind of experience do you have with metal with compared to like other stuff
So
that you
I can
used?
only compare. I can only compare it to OpenGL, and I haven't used OpenGL in a very long time. Ever since I ported my engine from OpenGL to Metal. So the thing that I like about Metal is like the cleanliness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is more, you know, it's not as cumbersome as OpenGL, right? That's one of the things that I really liked about Metal.
Really?
OpenGL at times feel very cumbersome, very
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Well, I always thought when I asked people like what graphic API should beginner should work with at the beginning, and they always told me like OpenGL because like it was like the most
Oh,
simple. So I don't know what. So wait, so what is more simple, like OpenGL, Metal, or which is more simple? Like
so here's the thing that I have figured out.
yeah,
So there are a lot of resources when it comes to OpenGL, right? There are several websites on graphics that their tutorials are on OpenGL, and they are really great tutorials, right? There are not that many when it comes to Metal,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Right. So me myself, like me, right, who knows Metal, when I'm trying to learn something new, or I want to implement something that I have never implemented, I go to these OpenGL tutorials and I read and read what they have to say. I see their code, and then what I do, I just get that knowledge and just transfer it to Metal, right? Um, I obviously in this instance, as like you cannot just copy and paste code, right?
Mm,
Because it's not going to
yeah.
work. But the
Wait,
fact that I know, I mean, like the fact that I know like the basics of how everything works,
yeah.
I can easily convert that from OpenGL to Metal, like because I already know
Yeah,
I
what the
have a
process?
foundation, right?
Yeah, what the
Yeah,
process was like. It's just different code that you have to change it to like from like the call names, like the call functions,
yeah,
like probably different, right?
yeah. Many other stuff are going to be different between OpenGL, and Metal, right? So like I already have this base, like a foundation in place that I can easily just check out this code or see a video on YouTube of how you need to implement this. And I honestly, most of the times I don't even look at the code anymore. I just like hear, the concept. It's like, okay, that's how you do it, and then I just do it myself. Because all what I need to know is I need to know the concept
The
behind the
concept.
implementation,
Yeah,
right? I may look at the code. I'm not saying I never look at the code. I do look at it to get an idea, right? Or I may look at it whenever I'm stuck, right? With my meta implementation, I'm like, why is it not working? Am I missing something? I go back and look at the OpenGL code. I'm like, I think I'm not taking this into consideration,
yes,
right? And then I do it, right? So that's how you know, that's what I think of why some people still tell you, and I would tell you, if you're learning computer graphics,
yes,
you may want to start with OpenGL or at least check out these OpenGL tutorials to get a good grasp because they're
oh,
really good. And
oh,
once you're ready, you can do it on Metal. And with Metal, there are not a lot of resources out there, right?
exactly.
Which sucks.
It
And that's
really
the
sucks.
thing, right? Yeah, that's the thing. I think if there were more resources, more people would be using Metal because
Yeah,
it's really the API is really clean, very.
yeah,
I think it's really nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
once I think of it, it's super super nice to use.
yeah, yeah. I use only Metal myself. Like my when I start graphic APIs, like that's the goal,
Mhm.
like the first goal that I set myself. Like it wasn't like no, I didn't want to do stuff for PC. No, I wanted to do it for Mac, right? Just
Yeah,
yourself. Like I wanted it uh, to be a new era, I guess so, for
yeah,
like graphics for like gaming for like Mac because as you know, like the
mhm,
Mac gaming on Mac is just probably non-existent. But I didn't want to use PC anymore. Like I have everything Apple. Like I don't want to use PC anymore. So, and the stuff I have with Apple Silicon, like it's just miles and miles better than everything I ever used, right?
yeah.
So yeah, so I wanted to bet on Metal on that my resource and stuff. So, did you notice any kind of difference in performance when you compare to like Metal and OpenGL?
I cannot tell you that because again, by the time when I converted my engine from OpenGL to Metal, that was a long time ago, and I
Yeah,
didn't do any performance stuff back then. But I will tell you this: I was when I was doing the conversion, I had expected the whole conversion to take me a very long time, it took me less than 3 weeks to convert everything, or even less than that. To go from OpenGL to Metal, right?
Yeah.
The conversion was so straightforward, so
Yeah.
simple. I actually learned more when I was converting from OpenGL to Metal. I learned more while using Metal about computer graphics because everything was cleaner and
Yeah.
nicer, not so
Yeah.
many, not too cumbersome. Was like
Yeah.
nicer to use.
Yeah.
So I was very surprised that it didn't take me that long. And I was surprised that I actually caught a lot of mistakes I had done in OpenGL while porting it to Metal. You know what I mean? It's like I
Can you repeat?
learned,
Can you repeat? Can you repeat?
yeah. So when I was converting,
Yeah.
right? Well, number one, I learned more about computer graphics while
Yeah.
I was doing the conversion to
Yeah.
Metal. And number two, I was able to catch several mistakes I had done in OpenGL while doing the conversion to Metal,
Yes.
right? So it was this a really good learning process or
Yeah.
experience that I went through, right, in those
Yeah.
3 weeks. Again, and what surprised me the most was that I was expecting it to take me a long time. It took me about 3 weeks
Three
to
weeks.
do all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or even less to convert everything. So that was very, very, something that I wasn't expecting,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and something that you said right now that you are betting everything on Max, right?
Yes.
You know, I myself, without knowing it, was also betting everything on Max, right? Because people would tell me, they would send me messages like, "Hey, why did you build a game engine using Max? You're that's dumb, that's stupid,
I know. I
right?"
know.
Many people
Yeah.
would message me that
I
like,
believe you.
"Why,
I
why,
believe you. I
why?"
believe you.
Right? Why not Windows?
Yeah.
So my reply to them was like, "Look, it was more of an educational purpose project, right? It was an educational thing that I wanted to do for myself. And, over the time, it paid off because I ended up getting a job because I knew metal.
Wait.
It's because of, yeah,
But so they require only people with knowledge of metal or what?
yes, yes. So
Oh,
like in the
really?
company, they wanted, yeah, so they wanted people that, that know metal,
Oh
right?
my
That they
God.
wanted rendering engineers with metal experience, right? And I got a job because
Of
I
that.
decided to not follow the crowd, right? I'm like, I'm gonna go my own way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, so it paid off. So if you're thinking, is this a good bet? Never know. You
Yeah.
know, the good thing about not following the crowd is that you become like the one person that knows one thing that not everybody else knows. And
Exactly.
when a company comes looking, that they're gonna look for like who knows this, like who's that one person that knows this specific thing. Because we want you like now
Yeah.
instead of a whole crowd of
Yeah.
I can choose anyone
Y-
from this pool. So
Exactly. Then that's why I told you, right? Like I wanted to be that early bird, because I knew that
yeah,
if I wanted to, I go to because I had a choice. Like I had the choice to go like web development and get a job, probably get a job, because but along again, there's like thousands of people. Oh, I don't know, man. 10 times more probably that tries to do the same because you know that everybody's just making websites, but not everybody's making iOS development, right? So
exactly.
yeah, and it actually did pay off. But I was just doing it because of fun. I had an iPhone and I wanted to do it for the iOS development because I liked iPhones. I liked Apple, right? So
Hmm.
it paid off. Not following crowd. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it
yeah.
paid off for me too. So
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
yeah,
I'm glad that we're on the same page.
yeah.
But I don't know, but how could you like persist for so long? Like, because I knew that in the videos, like I knew that you were repressed. You were not getting things, your way, right? You didn't. You have to struggle a lot. Like, how do you get all those motivations to keep going? Like, it has to be hard, right?
Yeah, like the motivation. You know, uh, hold on. What are you asking me? How to? Where do I find my motivation
Yeah,
to keep
like
on going?
yeah, when you get no result, right? You don't get a job. Like you don't like had the same feeling, right? Like I was just doing it, but I'd get no result from it. Like, but if it had like assurance to me, like yeah, if I go into it and it's gonna 100% pay off in the end, so that's 100% motivation for me to do it, right? But if you have no assurance of getting any kind of return into it, return investment, then there's not a lot of motivation to do it, right? Did you
Um,
like?
yes. So my motivation was all. So this I'm gonna say this right. Like my goal, my personal goal, right,
Yeah,
is to be the best rendering engineer that I can be,
but
right?
yeah,
That's
but
my goal.
yeah, but like
And uh-huh.
yeah, but sure, but like, did you expect like in the end like you got a job like so you could live off of it, or you just
No,
wanted to be an
N- n-
rendering?
I wanted I wanted to become an expert in graphics, and I had no assurance that I was going to get hired by a company, right? But I wanted to be the best engineer that I could be for my personal reasons, like for my personal satisfaction,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
And so
So
I
it was not
focused
for
on
money. It wasn't just for
it
money
was
or like for living, right?
no, it wasn't for money. No, not at all. Like
Okay.
it was just I just wanted to become the best at this craft, right? I wanted to be the best one. That's it. Personally, I wanted to improve every day, right? Um, so that's what kept me going, right? Kept me going. Trying to learn more stuff. I wanted every time I wanted to implement something into the engine, it was more, I want to know how this works, right? I guess my engineering, behavior would kick in,
Yeah.
and me wanting to know how things work would push me, right? Would
Yeah.
force me to wake up at 5 a.m. Like, hey, from 5 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. before you head out to work, let's work on this and let's see how this works. And figuring out how things work gave me that satisfaction, right?
Yeah.
That I was moving forward, right?
Yeah.
It was just I don't know, it was there, like that motivation just of me knowing how things work just
Yeah.
kept me pushing basically. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm explaining myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was like looking at the stuff you do, and then the website that you built, like you didn't have to do all that, right? You could just focus on it by yourself, but you had to like push videos and you should make tutorials on the website. Like that's a lot of work. Like like you need like why would you do the tutorial also? Like why can't you just like focus on what you would like to do, and instead like you
Uh,
like do both things?
Yeah, so that's more of me wanting to share with the community,
Yeah.
right? Of how things work when it came to metal, right? Because I'm gonna be honest, I can say that I built a game engine, but in reality, no, not really. I did not build a game engine, right? I built a game engine with the help of the community, right? With with every person that decided to post an article online, right? Right? Those people helped me indirectly to build a game engine, right? Because without that person writing that article, I would never know how to implement a particular feature in my game engine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was more of me wanting to pay back to the community,
Oh.
right? Saying, okay, you know what, guys? I know there are not many resources on Metal, but I figured out how things work. So let me write an article so that way you can also use this content
Yes.
and
Yes.
build your own application, right? So it was a way of just giving back to the community, right? Like wanting to
Yeah.
share what I was learning with everybody. Um, because I felt that that's what I had to do, right? I had
Yeah.
learned so much from these websites that they talk about graphics, and I just wanted to say, you know what, it's my turn now to put
Yeah.
this out there for people to use. Um,
yeah,
yeah, so it was more of me wanting to give back to the community more than anything else.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
well, well,
yeah,
props to you because that's a lot of work. Honestly, I have to
yeah,
say. I
yeah.
think you have spent a lot of time building the website and putting the things together, and it
Hmm.
helped me a lot too. So it was really structural, and I just
That's
went
good.
through it, and it helped me a lot too. So yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So mm, do you have like any like insight into like these today's like games about like their optim because I've seen a lot of games being like pushed out, but they're not really optimized. Like, do you have any kind of insight into that you can share?
Into how games are optimized, like.
Yeah, generally because like yeah, just general about optimization. Like, it's something that you care about or not really.
Yeah, yeah. I care about optimization obviously, but I also care a lot about the quality of the renderer, right? Of the
Okay,
rendering output.
okay,
I care about both. So it's would be really hard for me to tell you everything about optimization, right?
yeah,
What to do, right?
yes,
Um, but I can give you some tips on what I have on what I have learned and
yeah.
you
Like, what
know
goes into like optimizing a game? Let's say, like what goes into it. Like, what do you have to take into account, like to make the
um
game perform, it best way possible.
memory management. I'll say it's one of the things that you need to take into
Yeah,
account. Yeah,
memory
memory
management.
management.
Yeah,
Yeah, for example, a quick simple optimization technique. Let's say that you have a texture, right?
yeah,
And your texture data type, right, is to, let's say that you don't need like a 32 float texture data type, right? But you're passing that to the GPU in every frame. But in reality, the data that you are using from the texture can be, you know, can only be, what you are really using from it is a 16 float and not 32 float, right? Why are you passing this huge texture to the GPU when you can just reduce the data type to 16 float and you are not sending as much memory
yes,
to the GPU, right? It goes
yes,
like, why are you sending this heavy texture when you can send a lighter one,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's a really simple optimization technique right there. Boom, like,
okay,
right? That
yeah,
that helps,
yeah,
right? So yeah, memory management is one of the things that has always
yeah,
you know uh, helped me too. When
yeah,
you're doing any shaders, if you don't need like, if you can use a half instead of a float, it's good, right? Like,
mm-hmm,
do that. Like,
mm-hmm,
so it's very simple stuff about data types.
yeah.
I think
um
can really help.
okay, so that's like the first thing, right? Memory
Hmm.
management, right? Do you have anything else other than memory? But there's probably a lot more, but it's
There's
just
a
too
lot
much.
more,
It's
but I
just
can.
too much to go into it, right? There's too much, like
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, but
yeah,
yeah, because
yeah.
I suppose you have seen the I don't know if you know the game porting toolkit that Apple just released. You
No, I
don't?
have not.
No, you have
I
not.
haven't seen it yet. No.
Yeah,
Game
because
porting kit. No, I have not seen it. No.
yeah, so it's just a tool that port the Windows games to like metal shaders.
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. I've seen it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know which one
really?
you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
I have not used it.
you have
I
not.
just heard about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, because I know, so one thing about the Apple GPUs is that they use different kind of GPUs. So I all talk to like quite a bit of GPU people that mm, that Apple uses different kind of architecture. So I don't know if you know about that because the normal GPUs in the Windows like they use like discrete one and they have like different. They don't have the same memory in the same cell in the same chip, right?
Hmm.
So like the
For
techniques,
Windows,
yeah. So the techniques like you have to copy memory from CPU to the GPU, right? They don't share the same memory like on the Mac.
like unified memory.
Yes, yes, unified memory. So like, do you have any because And I also know that they are TBDR memory, TBDR GPUs. I don't know if you know
Okay.
about that.
No, I don't know.
You don't know? Like
For
tile-based
Windows,
different,
no.
like
For
it's a
GP, for Mac, for Mac or
for
for Windows, I don't know.
yeah, Apple GPUs. Like they use
Ah, yeah, yeah.
tile-based rendering technique or whatever
Hmm.
that is. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, you
and
do.
they say like it was like quite a bit different to port the games and to optimize it, you know, because they use
Okay.
different kind of techniques to render images, right? Like
Right.
tile-based rendering different. So I'm just wondering like if you know anything about it, like maybe it's like more difficult for games to appear on Mac because you know most people just optimize and create games just for PC for their architecture, you know,
Yeah, I cannot.
which is
I,
different than Mac.
yeah, yeah, I cannot really give you a good answer on that because number one, I haven't ported you know, games from Windows to Macs,
Yeah,
so I'm not qualified to answer that. To be honest with you,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to give you right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just wondering because, yeah, I'm a kind of like gamer myself, right? So I always like make videos about like the new stuff, the games on Mac. I always like make videos
Hmm.
about how it performs compared to compared to like PCs on the like same you know on on the same like PC system, you know, like how does
Hmm.
it compare to like Mac? So yeah, so I was just wondering if you have any experience with that, but yeah, but it was just like for you know for information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So um, do you have like any advice for like metal like graphics? Because it's hard, right? Graphics is hard. So
Mhm.
do you have any like if you had to start over, like which path would you take to get to your goal?
Mm.
You know, like for myself, for
Yeah.
me, or for somebody, because we don't have a lot of resources, so we just like want to hear from you, like because if you had to, because you have a lot of experience throughout your life with a GPU, like what how would you start if you had to start over for the most optimized way to get to learn um metal or graphics API graphics
Yeah.
overall.
So graphics. One of the things that I have learned is that knowing memory management and space transformations in linear algebra
Linear algebra,
are
okay,
crucial,
crucial,
like
okay,
very crucial. You have no idea.
really.
Most of the bugs that I have encountered throughout my life has been because number one, I did not understand memory alignment, right?
Oh, if
The
I'm
size.
if I remember correctly, I had to deal with memory alignment because I had a book right on metal, and they teach you. I don't know if you know this book from Codeco. Do you know Codeco?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Oh
yeah,
really? Okay, so they made
yeah, yeah.
the book about metal, right? So I bought it. So I that's what I started with. The I don't know something like metals by tutorials. That's the name of the book or something. I don't know if you know heard
Okay.
about it. Are you
Yeah, I
searching?
do.
Do you know it?
No. Yeah, yeah, I know it.
You know it?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So they were talking about
Like metal by
alignment.
X.
Yes, and they were
Yeah,
talking in the
metal by
first
X.
page. Yeah, yeah. They were talking about the first pages when about like the memory alignment and yeah, it was like bytes by bytes and it was like cursor moving, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, so y- yeah, it was something about that. But yeah, continue. I know what you mean right now. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, like I guess like making sure that you know the basics about memory alignment, memory size, the stride, right? If you have a
Yes.
structure, right? If you understand the alignment size and the stride of that, oh my gosh, you have no idea how that helps.
Oh, really?
Uh, Many times you're gonna see garbage on the screen because your stride is wrong, right? I'm being honest. I'm completely honest. That was a dumb mistake. It's because of that. So if you get those basics down,
Yeah, I had that.
you
I,
you
I, I was trying to render
you
the triangle and was going always like I don't know. It
yeah
was not triangle at all. But and then I realized like I had to change the stride to like a different
yeah
different structured and it will work in the end.
yeah. So I would focus a lot of time in understanding those concepts, which they're simple concepts to understand. The thing is that we
Yeah.
forget to apply them, right? When we
Yeah,
have
exactly.
to.
That's
When
that's
we,
the that's the thing.
yeah, and then the other concept that I really recommend people to focus on is understanding, space transformations, right? Linear algebra transformations, going from object to world to view to clip space to NDC space, texture space, right? And understanding when to use them, right? All of these spaces are crucial because you can be working in a particular shader, right? And your data that is coming in or that you're operating on may be in one particular space.
Yes.
And here you are thinking in a
Indifferent.
different space, right?
Yeah.
Or here you are in one particular space and you're forgetting that the range of that space is from -1 to 1 and you're working
Yes.
from 0 to whatever. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
I know. I know what you mean.
understanding those little concepts, which are very simple to grasp, which you can, just read about it,
Yes.
but and applying it every time when you're working with GPUs with the shaders will save you a lot of headaches, right? Once you understand those little things, I think everything just works out nicely. For example, in Metal, right, when you are initializing the pipeline, one of the things that you need to do is tell the GPU, okay, how is my data organized, right? At that moment, you need to put your memory knowledge in practice, the stride, the size, alignment, right?
Yes.
So that way the GPU knows exactly how you're sending the memory, right?
Yeah.
Once you
Exactly.
are in the
That's what I
shaders,
learned in the first pages.
yeah. So once you're in the shaders, now let's talk about the space that you're operating on, right? Um, what do you want to do with this? And in my opinion, every time I've had a bug, it's because of I messed something with either of those
Yeah.
two concepts. And
Yes.
most of the time, yeah, it happens to be that I messed up something there. Um, so that is something that I will focus on, you know,
Yeah.
a lot.
But yeah, but like would you like suggest people like to take university road to, or just like self-learning? Or how would you go at it?
Self-learning. I mean,
Self-learning?
if yeah, I mean, if you're smart, if you're smart, right? If you're persistent, if you're committed to learn to doing this, you will make it happen, right? It's all about showing up every day, right? And working on your goals, right?
Yes.
You don't need a college degree. You really don't.
Okay.
Um, what you need is commitment. You need to be persistent. You need to not give up, right? You need to just, keep keep fighting, keep doing what you need to do. And then you also need to change your mindset, right?
Yeah.
Many people, when they're working on a particular project and they hit a bug, right? They have a bug to fix, right? They may see that either as they're failing as an engineer or as a developer, or they may take the attitude, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. It's a bug. However, in my opinion, bugs are the best teachers, right? Because once you find out why that bug is happening or why that bug happened, right? And you really take that time to understand it, you have learned a lot more than a class in college, right? Because you
Yes.
have understood exactly why this bug happened, right? So you
Yeah.
need to change your perspective of, oh, I have a bug. Well, this is an opportunity for me to
Yes.
learn
Yes.
why that happened, right?
Yes.
Also, you should not have this idea in your head that you need to fix the bug. No, you don't need to fix the bug. You need to find the root cause of the bug, right? The bug may be just something like a symptom, right? And you may use like
Yeah,
duct tape to
yeah,
fix
duct
the bug.
tape.
Oh, I can just use this.
Yeah, but you don't know why.
Why? Yeah, you need
Yes,
to go in and understand like the root cause. Why did this happen?
yeah,
And once you change that mindset, you're going to learn so much, like so much, because you're going to get a deeper understanding of the architecture of how
yeah,
things work. Is it harder to follow that path than to just add duct tape to the bug? Yeah, it is
yeah,
harder. It
sure.
may
But
take you two, three
but you
days,
learn a lot more. You learn a lot
but you
more.
will learn a lot more. Because
Yeah.
the next time, because the next time that something similar happen, right?
Yes.
You're going to know exactly where to go.
Yeah.
Like you know
Yep.
exactly where's the problem because you've seen it before. Like you know.
Yeah, you kind of
So
understand like the process of what it's doing. So you might have an idea of like why where it could be problem, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
And that will make you a better engineer. That will make you a better
Yeah.
developer.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Like
what do you think about math though? Like because in school, right, they teach you a lot of math, which might be beneficial, right? In like GPU, especially in the GPU world. So what do you think about math? Like what kind of path
so
would you take to, tackle this?
like what type of math should you learn
Yeah,
for
like
computer graphics
because
or
yeah, like should you go to university because they give you a lot of math, right? For this
yeah.
kind of stuff, right? So would you like recommend people to go to university because of that reason or
So yeah, like I'm not saying people not to go to college. Right? I
yes?
went to college, right? Uh, However, like I said before, one of the things that I think why they make you go through all of these math courses is because they're teaching or they're training your brain to think analytically, right? And when you're working with computers, you need to think analytically, right?
Exactly.
So if your brain has been working out for so many years in you know analytically, right? When you encounter a bug, all of those training is going to come into play and help you figure out the bug faster,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
Because you already have that training in your head. I mean, I took differential equations. I took like 5 years of mathematics. I
Yeah.
used none of that except linear algebra. And even
Oh.
with linear algebra, right?
Oh.
With linear algebra, I use a small subset, right?
Oh.
Every day.
Oh.
So, I mean, I don't. I mean, we use trigonometry, just a bit of it, uh, but I don't use everything. I don't use. You don't use every math that
Oh,
you.
really?
Yeah, no, you don't. But
Oh.
again, the fact that I had to do all of those homeworks, all
Mm-hmm.
of the learning, all of the studying,
Mm-hmm.
I think it helped me because now my brain thinks differently, right? It just it's developed differently
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
someone who's
So
not analytically trained. The same thing
yes.
as someone who writes papers every day,
Mm-hmm.
right? His or her brain are developed differently to communicate more with better than I would be able to express myself through paper. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? It's just that. It's just
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
understand.
So yeah, regarding whether should you go to college or not, that's up to you. That's up to the person. But at the end of the day, it falls on you, right? It falls on you because you can have a degree, but if you don't apply it or you're not improving yourself every day to become a better engineer, that degree means nothing, right? And you know this technology keeps changing, right? So you need to also be improving yourself every day, right? You know, you're learning more about stuff on your own, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's my take on that.
Okay. So if you had to choose, or if you go back to time, right? If you had to choose, like, would you still stay in school, or would you like learn by yourself? If
I
you
would
had,
still go to school. Yeah, I would
you
still
would
go to
still go
school.
to school. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I still go to school. Um, maybe that's also because of my, of my parents, right? My mom was very into school, right?
Oh, yeah.
She,
Oh, my mom
she,
too. Like she didn't know
yeah,
like she didn't know like why, but like from the start, like if you want to be somebody, just go to school and be do well in school, right? But that's how
yeah,
she teach me from the start. Like she didn't know better, but she that's the only thing that she knew, and I don't blame her. You know, that's what she knew back then. So she just had to give me what she had, she what she had in the best interest, like right. So I don't blame
yeah,
her, right? But
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. And something that also, honestly, when I finished school, on my graduation day, I was there sitting, waiting for my name to be called,
yep.
and I was thinking to myself, and I'm like, what have I learned all of this 4 or 5 years in school? I felt like a failure at that moment. I feel like I don't think I learned anything, that I can apply it
Yeah.
into a new job.
Yes.
Like, like I learned about engineering, real engineering, when I started working. That's when I was able to really learn and apply and like understand, like, oh, okay, this is why we're doing this. In school, like I mentioned before, it didn't give me the time to digest what I was learning. Everything was so rushed and
Yeah.
everything was more about that grade and that GPA.
Yeah.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
so, you know, me myself was telling you, yeah, I will go back to school. I'm telling you also that when I was waiting for my name to be called to get my diploma, I felt like I was a failure, because I would have not called myself as an engineer.
So that
Yeah,
that's very helpful. My nephews. Just to mind them. Yeah.
yeah, no, no
Yeah.
worry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, um, and I learned everything on the job. I learned to develop a game engine on my own, right? Not because of school, but it was on my own, right? But I also see the benefits, like again, of school, how they train you with so many homeworks, right?
Yeah.
But you know, do you have to go, or you don't have to go to school? That's up to you.
Yeah.
That's on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Everything. Everybody's different, right? Everybody like yeah. Whatever works for them,
yeah,
right? Yeah. We
yeah.
just
There are
can
many
speak for
success.
yourself, right?
Yeah, there are
Yeah.
many
Something
successful
might work for
people.
somebody, but not work for you, for example, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I
I mean,
understand now.
yeah, yeah. For IT, for technical development stuff, no, you don't need to go to school. But hey, it helps if the more knowledge you have too,
Yeah.
right? The more advanced
Yeah.
you want to get into that,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Okay, Harold, thank you very much for your time. I think we had a great time and I had a lot of knowledge from you. So I hope that we'll see you next time on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so
We
much,
missed you.
Peter.
Yeah, yeah. I thank you too. I thank you too. Thank
Yep,
you for
yep,
spending time with me. Like, I really appreciate your time. Like that you
yep.
actually replied to me. Like I don't have like a podcast in the like big, but
Right, right.
you gave me your time anyway. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, man.
Yep, cool. No problem. Thank you so much, Peter.
Yeah, you're
Yep,
welcome.
cool.
Yeah.
Yep,
See you,
cool.
man. See you.
Yep, have a good day. Yep, peace out, man. Bye bye.
Yeah. Peace. Bye bye.